Hello, boys and girls. How are you? This is Mr. Ruson. Yes, another science lesson. And as I promised last time, we are going to continue with ecosystems. But this time, we have a little problem. We have actually, a big problem that we are going to try to solve today. Our learning target for today is I can explain how introducing or removing a species affects the balance of an ecosystem. So I can explain how introducing, putting in, or removing, taking out a species, it could be plant or animals, affects the balance of an ecosystem. Okay? So let's read it. So today we're going to have to solve this problem. We're going to have to solve the problem of many times people, humans, we introduce a species in an ecosystem. And we think it's going to be a great idea. And it turns out that it's not that good of an idea. So today we're going to be able to explain how introducing or removing a species affects the balance. You know, how everything is in perfect harmony, right? How it affects the balance of an ecosystem. And there are two words that we are going to need to know. One is species, which is a group of similar organisms, and ecosystem, which you already know from last lesson, is a community of organisms interacting with each other and their environment. So things that are alive and things that are not alive, living and non-living organisms interacting with each other. So we are starting with a situation that it is very close to home. It is something that we probably see every day. If you ride the bus to school or if you are a car rider, you have seen this. I'm sure that you have, you just don't know the name. Or if you go to any mountain in Tennessee, any type of woods, any type of forest, you are going to see what I'm going to tell you in just a moment. And you know, this is what happened about, over 150 years ago. There was a vine, a climbing vine that we now know as kudzu that was brought to the United States. It was brought to our country from Japan. And kudzu grows on steep hills, it grows on top of trees, it grows everywhere. So kudzu was brought to the United States from Japan. So now I want you to open the document that you have that is called Goats and Kudzu, okay? And I want you to go to the column that says Kudzu, which is the first column, okay? Let me show you that document. So I want you to answer that question, okay? Take a minute or two, well, maybe a little bit longer. Just pause the video and answer the question, why do you think that kudzu was introduced into the US from Japan? Why do you think that the first person that brought it, what might have been the reason that they brought it here? So we don't know exactly why they brought it here, but maybe because it looked good to someone and they thought that it might make a really nice decoration in their garden, or maybe they thought that they could eat the little starchy sort of potatoes that they have, or I don't know what you wrote, but whoever brought it must have had a reason to bring it. I mean, it kind of looked nice, right? So it might have been for decoration or for food, or maybe they thought that it would be a good way to stop erosion from the side of the mountains. I have no idea why they brought it. Now, let's take a look one more time at that picture that we saw at the beginning, the one that has the vine and also where it came from. So take a really good look at that picture, okay? Take a good look. I'm going to post it here again. Take a good look because we're going to have to talk about what you think that vine is doing what effect that vine is having in an ecosystem here in Tennessee. So I'm going to post it. Look at that picture real closely, okay? Look at it closely. You take a good look. All of those trees that look like they're all green, that they have no trunk, they're actually trees. It's just that the vine has climbed all over those trees, okay? And you can see many of them. So now I want you to go back to your document that is goats and kudzu, and I want you to answer that second question, okay? Answer the second question that says, what was the effect of kudzu in its new environment? So take a few minutes to write what was the effect from the picture that you saw. What was the effect of kudzu in, specifically here in Tennessee? It's all over the South, but specifically here in Tennessee, what was the effect? What did it do in Tennessee? Okay? So take a few minutes, and then you can pause the video, and then we'll come back to discuss it. I'm sure that from what you saw, well, I don't want to tell you exactly what kudzu has done, because I also want you to see a little video that tells you a lot of what it did. But I'm sure that you wrote that it covered the trees, right? That all the trees were covered with kudzu, that there were large areas that had kudzu, that maybe it is killing the trees, that it might not be very useful for the forest. I don't know exactly what you wrote, but I want you to click on the YouTube link that your teacher gave you, okay? And I want you to watch that short video. It is titled Kudzu, and it is by UTIA, okay? And it gives you some information about what it actually does, okay? So click on that video and watch it. It's just about 2 minutes and a few seconds, all right? So now that you watch the video, you can go back and you can write some more things, because now you have more information as to what kudzu has done in the South after it was brought from Japan. So go back to your document and write some more things there, okay? What did it do? Pause the video for a moment and write some more things. So obviously, it wasn't a great thing. So bringing that plant that was perfectly fine in Japan, where it was a native of, in Japan, kudzu was fine. That's where it's supposed to be. But when it was brought over here, where it's not supposed to be, it wasn't a great idea. And it has caused all sorts of problems for the forests. It's taking over. So when people saw that was happening, they said, well, we have to do something about this. We got to do something. Now, this is the time that I want you to take to think for a moment. What do you think was a good solution? If you had to solve that problem, because we're trying to solve that problem of kudzu taking over, what do you think might be a good solution? What do you think? Anybody? What would be a good solution? You can pause the video for a moment so you can think about it and answer that question. What might be a good solution? Actually, people came up with a great solution, what they thought was a great solution. Do you know what a goat is? Let me show you, just in case that you don't know. Now you can go back to that document that I think it's, what is the title of the document? Goats and Kudzu? Yes. And on the second column, it says, why were goats introduced? So now you know why they were introduced. So why were goats brought? Okay, so go ahead and answer that. Why were goats introduced? So now that you have answered the question, why were goats introduced, okay? I want you to think. So goats are not supposed to be around Tennessee, okay? They're not supposed to be here. So there is another species that was introduced to take care of a problem of the kudzu that was introduced from Japan. So what do you think, okay? What do you think were the effects of the goats in this new environment? What do you think that the goats are going to do? Okay, what do you think that is going to happen now with the goats? Think about what goats eat. Think about how they are. You know, can they jump? Can they not jump? Think about how goats behave. Okay, and what do you think might be the effect of introducing goats? So now you go to that same column where the goats are and answer that question. Take a few minutes, you can pause the video and answer the question about what were the effects of goats in the new ecosystem. I wish I could see all those awesome things that you wrote. But anyways, I'm sure that you know that goats are jumpers and they're all over the place and they eat whatever they find. So, do you think that they only ate kudzu? Do you think that they say, oh, there is kudzu, let me go and eat that kudzu. Let me go eat that kudzu. And do you think that they just jumped everything else? Absolutely not. They were eating everything. They were eating whatever they found on their way. Whatever they found on their way, they ate. So that caused a bunch of other problems, right? So the food web was disrupted. The introduction of kudzu and goats into the ecosystem caused a number of changes to the flow of energy that was pretty balanced before. Now there was a plant taking over and there were animals taking over. And so cows may probably didn't have access to the grasses because either the kudzu or the goats got a hold of it first. And the coyote may not have as many cows to eat, or it may try to eat the goats instead. So the whole balance was disrupted, right? And just fun fact, okay? Just fun fact. I want to tell you that there is a little folklore that tells the kudzu vine had the ability of grasping, very slow moving the cows. It would grab the cows, but it doesn't really move that fast. But you know, that's some folklore, some like tales, right? Some tall tales. And also, another fun fact is that Chattanooga had to have a official goat handler, right? And even today, the unofficial mascot is a goat, and there is a goat handler in Chattanooga, right? So we are going to leave this lesson. So this lesson is into two parts. So we're going to continue with the other part of the lesson. So if you remember, the target was that we can, let me see, remember the target? Do I remember the target? What was the target? I forgot. Tell me, what was the target? No, not ecosystems. It was, I can explain how introducing the kudzu and the goats, how it disrupts the balance of an ecosystem, how it affects the balance. But we didn't discuss how removing a species can disrupt the balance or can affect an ecosystem. So that is going to be for the second part of the lesson, okay? So today, you should be able to explain how introducing a species can affect the balance of an ecosystem. Okay, so I'm going to post the target there so that you can read it one more time, and I will see you next lesson.